So Pete Hegseth going crazy with his nerdy officer, birds are in the air, missiles, tomahawk missiles, and talking all this shit. And he was all high because this was like his first mission. He had his war boner going.
It is clearly says when the drones would strike, how long it would be until the F-18s would be overhead, and that information is operational, timing, and very detrimental. You put two and two together and know exactly what was happening.
Final issue is Mike Walls adding the reporter, which is legitimately a breach of security.
And you're going to push us all into this little area called Gaza, and then you're going to continue to bomb us and go, oh, whoops, you didn't mean to kill the kids. The bomb doesn't have to land in a specific area for that blast to radiate out and kill these children.
But what I will say is that it was a big coup for the Democrats because it feeds into this idea that they're incompetent amateurs, which a lot of these people are amateurs. Hi everybody, this is John back for Real Veteran News 47. Please be sure to watch the whole video and leave a comment, help out the algorithm if you want to help out. So I know everybody's kind of over Signalgate and the tariff thing happened today, but I'm going to take a minute to talk about Signalgate, what I think about it, so that we can just kind of have that on the record, right? So if we remember back to Signalgate, National Security Advisor Mike Walls accidentally added a liberal journalist to a secret Signal chat where they were talking about striking the Houthi rebels. There are several issues here. One is the adding of a journalist who obviously was not supposed to have this information. The other issue is the level of classification of the information that was shared in the chat, mainly by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And then third is, should they be using Signal at all in the first place? So I'm going to go kind of in reverse order there. Should they be using Signal at all? At all. Okay. I think it's okay for them to be using Signal. The idea that to have a conversation, they have to all go to a skiff at the same time to talk on a group call or something like that, with all these people's schedules. And we all just, in our modern day and life, nobody's schedules line up like that. We all use group chats and stuff like that. So it has been approved. We know that Signal is not perfect. It's a pretty good solution for privacy and security, but it is not perfect. The main issue with security is not so much the encryption of Signal, but it's like once the message comes down onto your phone, if it becomes decrypted on your phone and gets stored decrypted on your phone, then if somebody hacks your phone, which is much easier to do than hacking Signal, then they can read anything on your phone, including your Signal messages. So if any of these people's phones, and there was probably like over 10 people or more, I think, on this chat, were compromised, they could read all of the messages. It just take one person's phone to read that group chat. So these iPhones, and they're probably all using iPhones, but the Androids, unless they've got some special security on them, are pretty easily hacked by foreign nations. Like if it's not a foreign nation that's after you, it's not easy to hack into a cell phone. But if you're a nation who has professional, full-time people that do this for a living, and you have a ton of money and you really want to get into an iPhone, there are ways to do it. And so no, it is not super secure. Given that, I still think it's okay for them to talk about things on Signal. I think that's okay. With regard to the specific Houthi strike, I think it's okay for them to have a group, because if one of the pilots got shot down or they bombed some little children's school or something, I think it's better that they're able to communicate quickly and to coordinate a response. The mission went off without a hitch, like I get it. But if something had gone wrong, I think having these top people being able to communicate in real time, given their schedules and everything, would be good. Putting out the information and the details before the strike, I don't think was good. I think it happened on a Saturday, so they all weren't like in the office. Like, given, if you read the messages, it seemed like they all knew what the plan was. So assuming no changes to the plan, they probably were all in a meeting or had been briefed on the plan one way or another. They basically all knew the plan already and that the plan was happening. So Pete Hegseth going crazy with his nerdy officer, birds are in the air, missiles, Tomahawk missiles, and talking all this shit. And he was all high because this was like his first mission. He had his war boner going. He's kind of a nerd, not a real, super serious like combat person, in my opinion. My humble opinion. I think he should have toned it down. He should have been like, hey, missions a go, whatever. Everybody knows what that means. Like, no changes to the plan. Putting all this extraneous information there, I don't think was good. But once the mission is over, everybody in the world knows what happened anyway. So it's like timely information at the time, but then it's soon to be, worthless, essentially, intelligence, because everybody knows it anyway. So he made himself look like an ass, whatever. And he made himself ripe for ridicule, but I don't think he compromised the national security of the whole country or whatever. Was it a war plan? I mean, like they said, basically a war plan is a large document that was not what it was. They were plans, and it kind of is a war. I think attack plan is more accurate, which is they changed it to attack plan. But both sides are kind of playing the word games here. Final issue is Mike Walls adding the reporter, which is legitimately a breach of security. I mean, he is an American, he's a conscientious person, and he didn't like blurb the information out to the Russians or anything like that. But, it is a bonehead mistake, and obviously he's lying. He had this guy's number in his phone, and he just doesn't want to admit it to Trump that he's buddies with this guy, because the guy hates Trump, obviously. Mike Walls was a congressman. All these congressmen got journalists' numbers in their phone because they're always leaking shit whenever they feel like it. So, poor Mike Walls, is a bonehead move. They tried to blame it on staff, but then that didn't work. Whatever. All right, so the bottom line is, I don't think it was like a huge breach of security. I do think they should be able to use Signal to a degree, depending on what exactly they're doing and talking about. But what I will say is that it was a big coup for the Democrats because it feeds into this idea that they're incompetent amateurs, which a lot of these people are amateurs. Not every single person in the cabinet is an amateur, but a lot of them are amateurs, especially like the TV personality types. And we all know who they are. So, whenever there's a preconceived notion about you, you want to operate in a way that doesn't confirm that notion, because everybody has confirmation bias. They want to confirm what they already think about you, which is that you're an amateur, a drunk, an idiot, like you don't know what you're doing, you're not qualified, So like if you're at a meeting, you don't want to be like have people take pictures of you with like an alcohol drink in your hand, because everybody suspects that you're a drunk anyway, and you're the Secretary of Defense. So it's just another one of these instances of them like feeding into this narrative there. All right, now it's time to get into a little bit of discussion with good old friend Marie, Army veteran Marie Ballerini Hunyon. How are you doing, Marie?
I'm great, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy social schedule to talk with me about the news of the day, veteran news.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. You got my name right. Thank you. Marie Ballerini Hunyon. I was a sergeant first class in the U.S. Army Reserve. Half of my time was on active duty. It was Signal, so commo, yay. I worked at Department of State. I worked at an embassy overseas until COVID. Now I just sit at home petting my cats, cleaning my house.
Are there any cats in the room that we need to know about right now?
There are no cats today.
All right. Cat-free real veteran news.
Just
great.
Yeah, cat-free.
All right, that's all we need. That's all we need. Okay, cool. All right, topic today is like Tesla, Elon Musk, anything revolving around that. We're just going to talk about the different stuff that we're interested in. It's a pretty hot topic. I think the most pressing issue with it is like the domestic terrorism, because that's kind of like flaring up right now. I don't know if it's going to die down now that the FBI and Pam Bondi are out there talking tough and they got their task force up. I don't know if it's going to go up. I don't know if it's going to continue. Obviously, people are pissed off. But it's interesting that political animus is being taken out on Tesla showrooms, assets of the company, Tesla charging stations, and just regular people who have Teslas. I will say I was at a bar recently, which is probably doesn't come as a shock to anyone. And I was outside, and there were a lot of people outside, and a dude rolled up in a Cybertruck. Obviously, I'm in the city, and they were like roasting this guy for his Cybertruck. But I don't know, maybe out in other parts of the country they'd be clapping or but anyway. So Murray, what do you think about? I know you probably used to have some Tesla stock, probably still do, I guess, and you've been a supporter. What do you think about the backlash against Elon Musk politically? Backlash on Tesla.
It's only going to hurt the people. I mean, because most of the pensions are, you have your 401k, your mutual funds with Vanguard and with BlackRock, and Tesla is one of them. And so it's only going to hurt them. It's only going to hurt us, everybody eventually. So you reap what you sow. That's my bottom line on this one, because it's ridiculous. And, it's just people following a narrative, and they're paid. They're paid threat actors. They're being paid by people like Soros, and it'll all come out in the end.
So you're saying every single Tesla attack, vandalism?
No, not.
I mean, some of these are like teenagers spray painting them. I don't think George Soros is paying teenagers to spray.
Yeah, because they're just trying to be cool. The graffiti of yesterday, the smoking weed of yesterday, back in the late 80s, early 90s, ever since it's been, illegal. But kids are going to do what they think is cool. And if they hear their mom and dad talking about Elon is evil, then, they automatically think you're a product of your environment. So they automatically think everybody's talking trash about Elon and Tesla and kill Tesla. Okay. Good luck.
Okay.
And then, I mean, if again, it's children. It's children.
I mean, it's a mix. I looked at the updates. It's a mix. There's some older people.
Oh, well, it is a mix. I mean, we had a couple government workers. I think there was a teacher or a professor. It's all on video. These people are idiots. They don't realize that there are sensors and video cameras all around all of the Teslas. So a lot of them are getting photographed and video recorded, and we see their faces of anguish as they're being arrested, because this is a domestic terrorist threat. It's been designated as one, therefore 20 years plus. So fuck around and find out. Bring it. I'd like to see more of these people go to jail, because they're children. Mentally, they're incompetent.
I would like to, I was thinking about a couple things. I like some of the stuff you brought up here for my points here. These Tesla terrorists, when there's a Democrat president, they're going to be the first motherfuckers to get a pardon after the January 6th stuff. So, I mean, Pam Bondi and them can go out and say, hey, we're going to put you in the jail for the rest of your life. But like, realistically, even if they do, and they end up serving, going into a federal prison, like as soon as a Democrat comes in, like they're sprung. So what do you think about that?
There's not much I can do. It's just your average Jane citizen. I mean, I can
that's what
contact
Trump did
my
with
representative.
The J6. That's what Trump did with J6.
Yes.
He sprung them all.
That's right. But J6 was not a terrorist organization. That there's a difference. So in the legalities, with the legalities of it, terrorist designation is completely different from citizens entering the people's house by invitation. You can't get into the Capitol unless somebody on the inside opens the door, right? It's all magnetically closed, like a skiff. We've seen the videos. We've seen some videos of the cops going, "Come on in." Fist bumping the FBI agent who wasn't there, because there were over 200 FBI agents. We can go into that. So in comparison, the J6ers, there is none comparison, in my opinion. These are terrorists who are destroying property. The ones who are destroying property were shown to be nefarious threat actors who actually work for our government. The videos are there, all the videos. So
realistically, they're both protests. They're both politically motivated protests, a little bit different. But the fact of the matter is, when there's a Democrat president, these people are getting out of jail on federal charges. Maybe they get some state charges, or I don't know.
But they'll spend some time in there. They'll spend some time in there, though. They got 3 years.
Maybe we'll see what's up. All right.
You could think about their...
The other thing I'd like to bring up, you mentioned George Soros. I understand George Soros is the big liberal boogeyman. He's actually super old now. Most of his money has gone to his son, Alex Soros, who is going to be doing the same kind of stuff and is now married to Huma Abedin.
He's even worse. Yes, Huma Abedin, who was the executive secretary for Secretary of State, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Okay. So George Soros, Alex Soros, whatever, big liberal boogeyman, billionaires. They've got a ton of money. They spend a lot of money.
And his father.
Like, okay, this protest is funded. This is funded by Soros. You know, he's playing politics, whatever. Like, how is that any different than what Elon Musk is doing?
Because Elon Musk is all about America, the U.S. Constitution. George Soros is about destroying that.
Okay, so it's just like, I mean, but they're like functionally
completely
they're doing
opposite.
The same thing. Oh, come on.
No.
They're doing the same thing.
Nowhere near the same thing. Okay, is Elon sending money over and saying, okay, I mean, this
he put $300 million into Trump. He's putting money into this Wisconsin thing. He's backing Republican primary candidates. He's throwing his money around big time. He's basically the Republican Soros that y'all hate.
But that money is not going to blowing up buildings, attacking police officers, destroying businesses, setting fire to buildings in towns. So George Soros' money has gone to Antifa, or Pantifa, as I like to call them, because they're a bunch of pussies. BLM. That money is being taken from taxpayers and sent to NGOs through all the. I mean, it's deep. Deep state is
two sides of the same coin, though. I mean, they're basically just polar opposites of each other.
No, that would be like George Soros is garbage. Dude is garbage, and
Elon
we will
Musk
see because
garbage. Come on.
No. So
Okay.
George Soros. Right. Well, let me go into this really quick. So India recently invaded one of George Soros's foundations. I can't remember which one right now, but they seized all the information, records, computers, everything from a foundation that Soros has in India. And I can't remember his name, but the president of India is actually friendly with President Trump. So we'll see what comes out of that. You know, we're not hearing anything about it right now because it's being analyzed. But we're going to find a lot of information of where George Soros's money is coming from and going to. He's being given money by the taxpayers through, as an example, that this is not proof, but just as an example, the EPA was just audited. And then there are little sub-agencies, which I've talked about before, and little sub-departments. And when you pass the bill, you got to pass the bill in order to read the bill, according to Nasty Pelosi. So we're finding out that a lot of these bills that have been passed have created these little sub-agencies, and the money that gets laundered through the EPA, as an example, into little sub-agencies for climate. Yeah, for climate. And then that money is then pushed out to NGOs and these little sub-agencies who are then funneling the money toward agencies that are contrary to the laws of the United States. So they're being funded through taxpayer money.
Elon Musk is being funded by taxpayer money. He's gotten billions and billions of dollars in subsidies for his cars and his stuff.
And he's saving us billions and billions of dollars by showing the fraud, the waste, and the abuse.
They think
we're going to save a lot of money.
They think it's important.
No, that's money laundering. It's money laundering. You think God got it wrong, John? I know you don't believe, but I do.
So if the taxpayers give Elon Musk a subsidy, and then Tesla does well, and he takes $300 million of his Tesla money and then gives it to Donald Trump for his campaign, I mean, how is that not money laundering?
It's not money laundering. It's
exactly the same
it's all traceable. Then what they need to do is they need to change the laws so that corporations can't donate more than you or me, $2,000 or $2,500, whatever it is, maximum donation. That's what they need to do.
You don't care about this guy's a foreigner. You like getting American politics from a foreign man?
I have no objection to anybody coming here from any other country and making America great again. I have nothing. No, I'm here because of immigrants. I'm only second generation Italian and Irish.
As long as you agree with them, it's fine.
No, it's a matter of what aligns with our Constitution. That's it. You're not going to take everything from you and everything from me, and then you make 200 grand, I make 100 grand. Well, now we both make 150 grand, or to make it all even for everybody. That the Marxism, communism shit doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and that's what they want. They want to destroy America by going in that direction. The progressive left. I don't care if you come from India or Kuwait or Saudi Arabia. If you're going to take care of the citizens of the US, that's the bottom line. We need the ingenuity from other countries to come here and make America better. All the businesses, all the corporations, these aren't just people that were born in Detroit Beaumont Hospital. These are people who have come from all over the world, and we're a melting pot. We want those people to come here, but we want it done legally. We want to know who you are. What is your benefit? Are you going to be a drain on society? Do you need your Obama phone? Do you need to be put up in a hotel? Do you need to have your food and your clothing and everything else provided by the taxpayer? Or are you going to come here and be a part of society and contribute? That's the bottom line. We don't need to be giving our money that I work my ass off for to somebody who doesn't want to work their ass off. They just want to sit there eating bonbons and watching Oprah on TV. I'm not paying for that. I don't want to pay for that. I got my own kids to take care of, my own kids to put through college. I shouldn't have to pay for anybody else who gets a right to go to college because they are brown or black or yellow or green or blue or purple. My kids, I should get more of a tax deduction because I've had more children. That's the way it should be. Crumbs, as Nasty Pelosi would call
I know.
it.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Okay. All right. Approval ratings. So Elon Musk's political transformation. Democrats in 2017, he was plus 35. Now he's negative 91, which is a 120 point swing. Not surprising. Republicans, he went from negative 18. He's plus 51 because he's buddies with Trump now. Not surprising. Independents, he went from plus 17 to negative 17. So he's losing, obviously, Democrats, but he's losing big time among independents. He's gaining Republicans. Why do you think he's losing independents if he's so great for America?
Because of the drawdown on employment in the federal government, and it's hitting a lot of people, and it's hurting a lot of people, or has the potential to hurt a lot of people. Okay, we know that 90% of the federal government workforce is left-leaning, but I think there are a lot of people who have seen, Trump maybe isn't as bad as we thought, so they are leaning more middle of the road, moderate, kind of independent, and I think that's where that number is coming from.
I mean, he's turning off independents. I mean, not Democrat. I mean, the Democrats obviously, but I mean, I'm an independent. I used to be like, okay, he's running his little companies. Okay, but like, yo, get the fuck out of the government. Like, this dude has no idea what he's doing. He's a foreign man. Like, I don't think he belongs.
He's a citizen.
Fuck that.
He did it legally. He is a citizen. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not treating a foreign person.
20 million people
as an equal.
Come on.
I'm not. He was in the military. He's never sacrificed anything for this country. Like, not the same. You can come here, you can live, you can vote, whatever, but you're not throwing $300 million at the president. You're not fucking with the military. You're not fucking with the veterans and have me supporting it. I don't give a fuck if you got cool spaceships and electric cars or whatever it is you do. I don't give a shit. All right? Like, stay out of the government. In my opinion. That's me.
I think he was used because he understands, as you understand, computers and systems and algorithms. And I think, the team that he brought in of what do they call them? A bunch of 20-year-olds. Hey, they're still smarter. When it comes to computers, they're still smarter. And they're doing what we need them to do. It has to be done. People need to be fired.
They're not doing anything.
What are they?
They're randomly firing people.
The fraud, waste, and the abuse. So my husband's actually, he might be a part of who gets fired. We'll see. I pray on everything.
Hopefully
that's
not
the case.
Good dude.
But at the same time, it has to be done. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than him. It's bigger than me. Why am I unemployed? Because I wouldn't take a vaccine that would have killed me. I had brain surgery. I had 2 aneurysms. Yeah, I could have, but I don't want to work for the man anymore because the government let me. The government let me down, me personally. But it's bigger than me, and that's why I sued and got the mandate lifted. I was one of the plaintiffs in that case. The mandate for the vaccine for federal employment.
All right, Social Security. They did heavy cuts in Social Security. 12% of the Social Security workforce already been cut back. The website's been crashing nonstop. Old people aren't able to get their accounts if they got issues or whatever. They cut the entire customer satisfaction department. They've got office managers manning the phones because there's not enough receptionists. And so the old people on Social Security are flooding the congressmen with complaints because they can't get through to Social Security because of Elon. And I mean, who knows even He couldn't even have saved that much money on this because it's not like the staff at Social Security that's bankrupting the country, Elon. It's the actual benefits themselves. So,
or the threat actors who are in there putting in typos so that $300 billion every single year is going out to people who don't even exist. So that's
okay,
what
well, they only put out $750 billion a year. So I don't think $300 billion is going to people who don't exist. That sounds insane.
But they have to look at it. You can't just go. No.
We already know that there's not.
Do we already know? But do we already know?
They do audits all the time. It's billions of dollars they audit it. There's professional people working there. I mean,
okay, so that money, where is it going? One thing is it just a computer typo issue where they have in the wrong years? You know, people are 300 years old and they're receiving Social Security.
They are not receiving 300 Social Security.
We don't know that. Do we know that? Absolutely.
I know that. Like, that is
okay,
not
well,
happening.
I don't.
Older people in my life died, and then Social Security, after just a couple months, is like, okay, we know they're dead. Give us the last couple checks back. They get the money back. Everything works fucking fine. There's no one who's 300 years old getting Social Security. That's insane.
What we need to know for certain. So come on. Okay, if you were a person, let's just say a nefarious threat actor, you worked at Social Security, and you think that you have the opportunity to get over on the government and make millions of dollars without anybody knowing, was that a deliberate typo or was that an accidental typo? Because there could be one single check that goes out every single month to one person in the amount of $110,000 every single month. How are you going to know?
Who's getting $110,000 on Social Security?
It's just an example. What I'm saying is just one. If there's one payment, one check that goes out to somebody who's been dead for 10 years, why has Kim Davis, just a name I made up, why has Kim Davis not said, hey, Social Security, my mom's been dead for 10 years and you've been sending me a check? No, she's going to go, fuck, man, the government fucked up. I'm just going to take that money. Yeah, cha-ching. Come on. You know that exists. You know it exists.
I don't.
Okay?
I mean, I don't know.
I know it does. I feel it in my gut.
It's just a totally made up scenario.
No, it's not, because if you take it into the Small Business Administration during COVID, how many kids under the age of 11 and younger received money for the COVID bailout?
Yeah, that's under the Trump administration. I mean, are you serious?
No. The Small Business Administration was set up. And then the people went and applied, just like the $750 from the people in North Carolina had to apply for a benefit. But these people, come on, John. Come on, don't be naive.
When that happened, the government knew they were going to get defrauded, and it was an emergency, and they did it anyways, knowing that they didn't have control of the money because it was COVID. And they just were like, okay, we'll get the money back like after COVID's over. And that's a decision that they consciously made, and it's over.
Then who is reviewing? Who is accepting and reviewing and approving the applications for 11-year-olds in their little lemonade stand to be receiving?
They were just sending out checks.
Exactly.
The entire government, and both parties
who are the people,
participated in that.
It's the people who applied for it. Those are the people who are the threat actors. Those are the people who need to be dealt with, whether they're government employees or not.
There's task forces going after these people.
Good. And if you used your child to get money from the government in a nefarious way, you go to jail. You're a criminal. You're a piece of shit, and you deserve everything you get.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
They committed a crime, but this isn't Doge.
But what Doge is doing, they're able to point out all the different ways that the government is being gotten over by the American citizen, whether they are employed by the government or they're just the average citizen who criminally filled out an application looking for a free handout. We've had enough. We've had enough.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But
I'm sure he's going to catch 0 fucking people, but sure, whatever. Go in there and spend your time digging around. I would love to see all of the massive savings that this idiot has brought to bear, because it's nothing. They've cut nothing serious. All right, in my opinion. All right. Do you want the last word here? We got Mark waiting for the debate. Do you want last word on this? Go ahead. Say what you like.
Well, I think you can also look at the way that our representatives have, they make $174,000 a year, but suddenly they're $20 million richer after just a few years, or after a lot of years, like nasty Pelosi. I know she's got a husband, and I know that they play their insider trading and all that, and that has benefited them greatly. But the money it's a lot of money laundering. A lot of money laundering. And we're going to use this to funnel. We're going to use that to funnel, whether it's an agency, whether it's a person, whether it's a foundation, whether if it's through mutual funds or stocks or whatever. We need to clean up the government. And if it means that somebody who hasn't been there for a year, maybe a year, and they haven't passed their probationary period, too bad, so sad. I understand your pain, but you know what? It's bigger than you. The government, the money, it's bigger than the individual, and they need to look at it that way and stop being so self-serving.
All right, last word from Marie Ballerini Hunyon. Great discussion. we gotta go to the debate with Mark right now. All right, so thanks a lot. All right, now it's time for the veteran debate part of the show here. We're bringing in new Navy veteran friend, Mark Peterson from Georgia. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good.
Sorry we're late. Marie was just handing my ass to me about Elon and George Soros and everything. So now you get to deal with her, which is good for me. All right. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, I'm Mark. I'm a retired Navy senior chief. I did 26 years in the Navy, and I'm currently a contract project manager and IT guy and a dad. So that's what I do now. And then I talk to John every couple days.
Yeah, you got to do your daddy duty.
Yeah.
Best job there is.
I love it.
All right, cool. All right, topics are Signalgate, Tesla terrorism, and Yemen strikes from last week. We're going to start with Mark because we're working with Marie before this. So, Mark, you can get started on Signalgate in 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Signalgate happened around the first 2 weeks of March. It was a complete lack of failure in leadership and lack of compliance with protocols. Had this been done by anybody else who had not kissed the Trumpian ring, they absolutely would be getting prosecuted by the DOJ. The Signal app's not authorized for that purpose, and it is vulnerable and has already been compromised by foreign intelligence agencies. This has been proven. Who was there? Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, NSA Mike Waltz, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Stephen Miller, White House envoy to Russia, Stephen Witkoff, who was in Russia and likely in the Kremlin at the time on a personal device, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, to name a few. These are the people upmost position in the president's cabinet. They have the capability to conduct secure communications, utilize portable skiffs, and possess their staff how to carry out these communications in accordance with policy, procedure, and law. It was pure laziness and convenience that committed the mass security breach.
I'll give you a little extra time, Marie, but it's your turn.
Waltz made a mistake by including a journalist from The Atlantic, one of the most left-wing news sources that there are. It was an error, but we weeded it out. Nothing classified was provided. There was no information that could have been used other than, well, we're going to do this and then we're going to do that. Where? When? To whom? It was Tulsi went on there. She's the head of the DHS, and she said, I see absolutely nothing wrong with what happened. It wasn't classified. No other information was given. So we weeded out the little mole there. I think Waltz was probably reprimanded. He was a freaking idiot, and he probably should have had his private or specialist create the chat with all the people in it rather than doing it himself. But live and learn. The Signal app and WhatsApp are the ones that we used and we were told to use when we were deployed overseas. And, because it's encrypted, yes, there have been breaches of it, but what platform has there not been a breach? It's not like 30,000 emails that went missing and were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop a few years later, but,
All right, Mark.
Quote, Secretary Hegseth is an effing liar. This is so clearly classified, he recklessly leaked that could have gotten our pilots killed. He needs to resign, disgrace immediately. Senator Duckworth said that. She was a pilot. It clearly says when the drones would strike, how long it would be until the F-18s would be overhead, and that information is operational, timing, and very detrimental. You could put two and two together and know exactly what was happening. Houthis gotten that information, they could have shot down those F-18s, but they can't come out and say they screwed up because Trump's mantra is you never say you screwed up. And so instead, they will continue to present excuses and they will double, triple down effectively ensuring that this story stays in the media. But rather than deal with the discomfort of one destructive news cycle, they are guaranteeing the perpetual discomfort of the endless news cycles. Trump's whole platform is to deny, counter accuse, and we saw Pam Bondi do that yesterday, saying nothing was classified, paraphrasing, blah, 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 Hillary's email, Hunter's laptop, Biden's Corvette, all of which don't matter in this moment. It is an attempt to distract. All of that has already been adjudicated. And never mind that both the DNI Tulsi Gabbard and NSA Mike Wallace should be investigated for perjury before Congress for what they said on Monday and Tuesday.
All right, Maria, it's your turn.
Oh, I'm not even going to get started on the perjury stuff. But, if Iran wasn't provided with a bunch of uranium, if they weren't given billions of dollars, maybe Iran wouldn't be so much of a threat actor in providing all of this to the Houthis. Because that's the bottom line. The Houthis, where are they going to get their money from? Maybe George Soros. I don't think Israel's going to give it to them. Maybe Saudi, but I don't think Saudi's going to. Maybe Saudi. But no, Iran, that's the threat actor here. And Iran wouldn't be Iran if it wasn't for Hillary and Biden. Therefore, Yemen wouldn't be in the situation that they're in with their big balls out and shooting everything that they can that they received from Iran. It all comes from Iran, and Iran wouldn't be Iran without Obama and Hillary and Biden.
The biggest problem with all this is that it, using a Signal app, violates so many federal laws. It is incredible, especially at that level, because it had an automatic delete function, which violates the FOIA Act, federal record-keeping laws. A federal judge already approved a compromise order that makes them rescind that. All of this just brings about much more questions. Why are they using Signal instead of the government-issued phones and proper protocols that are in place to keep that? And then how many more Signal groups are there? Are they just trying to circumvent FOIA? Are they trying to keep things private so that they're not in official records? This is the biggest question for me.
It's the app that we've been told to use. FOIA requests can be sent up and the government can just say, sorry, we're not answering that. I've been dealing with it for the last 5 years. So it's not about not having the access to the application or the information that's been used to put into the application. If the government doesn't want to release information, they're not going to, whether it's allowed or not. And I've experienced it over and over and time again, and not just like Department of State, but the whole federal government will not release information if it's done properly through FOIA channels, if they don't want the information to get out there. It doesn't matter. The government's going to do what the government wants to do, regardless of whether it's acceptable and approved or not.
All right, that was great. Signalgate debate. Let's continue on. We're going to talk about Tesla terrorism. We talked a little about Elon Musk, but a lot of action going on with this like domestic terrorism situation with the vandalism and the fire bombings, setting Teslas on fire all over the country, and so on, and all the around that. So Marie's going to go first.
Oh, let's see. Well, it's only going to hurt the bottom line for Americans. Like we've discussed previously, mutual funds, they're tied in. Your pensions, your 401ks, they're all tied in with how well stocks do, like Vanguard and BlackRock and Tesla. And that's what your investors are, your financial advisors are investing in on your behalf. So the bottom line is it's hurting just your average citizen. In addition to that, is a lot of climate supporters feel that having an EV is the best way to go. And of course, it was supposed to be mandated from 2030 on or something like that, ridiculous, that everyone should have one. But a lot of the more left-leaning people own Teslas because it's an EV. So they're just destroying a lot of their own kind, for lack of a better way of saying it. They're not hurting anybody, but just your average citizens. So
in regards to destroying 401ks and mutual funds, Trump has already done that very well, all on his own with his tariff threats, destroying $5 trillion in wealth since he took office. Just saying. People are taking action against Tesla because of Elon Musk. It's not right. I mean, I understand it, though. I can understand the anger, and I'm not alleviating the responsibilities, people. I can empathize where the anger is coming from. There's an unelected multi-billionaire wielding the power of the president, cutting and gutting programs and systems like from the U.S. government like a venture capitalist with complete disregard of who or how it hurts people. Look how he did Twitter. It was a complete clown show. He fired almost everybody and then hired them back piecemeal, renegotiating contracts at lower rates. People generally don't like to see people with power taking advantage and dominating other people without power. They just don't like it, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, we have a problem with the unelected bureaucrats for sure, and that's across the board in every single department. That is an absolute problem. But I think one of the issues is, and why pensions and so forth, as you said, have tanked under the Trump administration, is because the people who are involved with Epstein and the Diddy issue, it's deep. It's very deep. JP Morgan, one of their head guys, I can't remember which one it was, but he came out right off the top and was like, I better fucking come clean with my visit to Epstein Island because, and this is one of the head guys, but it's not just JP Morgan changed, the banking system that got bailed out under Obama. It's deep. It's big time, big people, judges, police officers, mayors, and these people they'll do anything. So they will sell out their stocks. They'll change their mutual funds just to make sure that DJT takes a hit. That's what they want it to look like. So I think that's, like DJT's stocks have gone up and down and up and down. And when he was elected, everything went up and I was up to 2,500. I have very little invested, but it went up. And then as it opened up what he was going to do, it just kept going down and down. And all of the other stocks just kept going down, down, down because it's like, oh shit, I don't like what this guy's doing. But anyway.
Kind of back to the domestic terrorism piece. There was like 80 reported cases since March 24th or so. The FBI started a task force, which is good. They need to. They were using incendiary devices, which is a bomb essentially. Right. But I kind of side with Jordan Klepper. Nobody should be breaking the law and blowing up Teslas, especially because if you just wait a few minutes, it'll do it all by themselves.
That was good.
There's a lot of hate for Teslas on Reddit alone. I saw about 5 subreddits that are hating Elon Musk, Tesla vehicles, and crashing Tesla stock. But peacefully protest. Make your voices heard. Go down to town halls. Protest in front of your capitals. Call representatives. Get involved with nonprofits. Common Defense, 50501, Indivisible, Human Rights Campaign, NAACP, Black Votes Matter, Georgia Equality, many, many more. There's many other ways to make your voices heard instead of being a violent protester.
Absolutely.
So. All right. Super boring level of agreement between you two. Let's wrap that up before it gets even more boring. All right, just kidding. All right, last topic is Yemen. The bombing of the Houthi rebels last Saturday, obviously went out in the Signal chat and all that too, but we already talked about that. The bombing campaign was pretty heavier than before, killed 53 people, apparently some children. And one of the people living in Yemen said, never seen anything like this before, even though they've been getting artillery for like the last 10 years. Iran said that it won't stop until we end our support of Israeli genocide and terrorism. And Pete Hegseth and Trump said that the bombing will continue. So it looks like this is like an ongoing military operation out there. We're going to start with Mark.
This started on March 16th and 17th. And if you listen to some of the Signal app, it seems like they think we're doing Europe a favor by taking care of the Houthi rebels. While that is true, Europe uses the Suez Canal far more than the U.S. does, something like 46 to 12%. Don't quote me on those numbers. The U.S.'s position in the world allows us that it's part of the Truman Doctrine that we do peaceful time intervention is what it is, aggressive peacetime intervention. But if we stop doing that, which is what Trump's position is, what are we giving up? We give up power, we give up immense leverage all over the world, and we cede that power to whoever starts doing that and gives us a weaker negotiating position throughout the world. And who's going to step up? India, China, UK, possibly Russia, one of these other countries. Somebody else will do it if we're not there to do it, and we just cede our leverage throughout the world for the greater good.
One, we're not the world's police. Yes, these are, I don't know the term for a naval vessel's area of operation or responsibility when they go through the air. I'm sorry.
It's an AOR.
Okay, the area of responsibility. Okay. Yes, these are channels that we use that the world uses for commerce. Yeah, we need to be involved, but we're not the world's police. Europe needs to be able to hold their own instead of relying upon us all the time, or be more friendly, or be not so friendly. Okay, enough on that one. Israel, come on. I'm sorry about the 53 people who were killed, and there's always going to be casualties in war, but don't step in dog shit if you don't want dog shit on you. 53 people in comparison to the thousands, tens of thousands, maybe millions of Palestinians. I'm not on one side or the other. I've got Israelis in my Jewish in my family and not in my bloodline, but married. And then I have Palestinians who are some of my best friends. And I understand both sides of the story. But you come into my house and you tell me to leave because you own it now. You're not my friend. You're never going to be my friend. And you're going to push us all into this little area called Gaza. And then you're going to continue to bomb us and go, oh, whoops, you didn't mean to kill the kids. You know, the bomb doesn't have to land in a specific area for that blast to radiate out and kill these children. So you're concerned about children? It's bullshit to me. The whole thing is bullshit to me.
All right. I'm glad that Marie brought up the Israel thing because Iran is doing this because of Israel. Mark, what do you think about our ties to Israel causing these issues in the Middle East?
So I've been around a long time. I was doing Middle East cruises back in the 90s. And we've been doing Middle Eastern interventions since the 80s, at least. I think the Iran hostage started in the 70s, and we overthrew the Shah, or installed the Shah in the early 70s. We've been causing problems in the Middle East with our interventionist policies for a long, long time.
Okay, I agree.
As far as Israel goes, I feel like Israel should have stopped a long time ago with the invasion of Gaza. There's diplomatic ways to get the remaining hostages and stop killing children and bombing hospitals and schools. They were justified in what they did to begin, but there was a stopping point.
All right, Marie, you're last.
We just need to get the hell out of there. It's not our business. I don't think we should be building skyscrapers because really, are you going to charge them $5,000 a month in rent so that they can live in their skyscraper in Gaza because it sits on the water? I mean, that's just stupid. And that's one thing I don't agree with DJT on. There's no way that they can ever make Palestine whole again. No way. So I don't know what they're going to do. And I feel bad for, them. But if the U.S. government and Israel want to remove a country from the face of the map, they're going to do it. They've done it. They rewrite history all the time. So I just think all we can do is pray, ask for, Jesus's intercession, all the saints, and, that they go to God on behalf of the Palestinians, whether they believe it or not. It's really sad. It breaks my heart, but the only thing we can do is contact our representatives and let them know where we stand individually and let it be a weight of, what do we do?
So that's the end of the last topic. Thank you, two friends, for participating and helping out with the video today. Mark, would you like to say any final words?
I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to coming back again.
Awesome. Marie, you got any final words?
Thank you for having me. It was great debate back and forth, and I like to hear, viewpoints that are outside of my extreme right wing. It's not really extreme, but a lot of people think I am because I'm over the top. I'm very passionate.
Yes. Yeah. Good passionate ideas, Marie. Thanks again. All right. Well, that was Real Veteran News 47. Thank you for watching. Next week, we'll do it again. So watch them too. Thanks a lot. Bye.